Hello, are you ready to paint a watercolor painting with me today? If so, get your brushes and paints and let's go paint along. Hello again, I'm Larry Hamilton. Welcome to my YouTube painting channel. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to do a little bit something different. We're going to do a watercolor painting, but it's one that I haven't selected the image. I joined a group of collaborators, 3 other artists around the world, a couple in the UK and one here in the United States, who have agreed to just share each other's work online and challenge each other every month. So we will be giving each other a photograph, and then once a month we will do that we'll paint that photograph and we will upload it, and then we will share each other's links with our subscribers so you can see other artists paint the same scene in a different medium usually. So I'll be doing this in watercolor. We have 3 other collaborators, as I mentioned, CLIVE, POWELL, Jason BOWEN, Brandon SCHEAFER, and myself. And so by the time you see this and it gets edited and up on YouTube, you will also see links in the bottom of the posting to go to their websites and see, or to their YouTube channels I should say, and you'll be able to see their version or rendition of this particular painting. So today we're doing a painting of a bridge in somewhere in the UK. I think it's near Wales somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but one of our collaborators sent this photo out a few days ago, and so we're all going to paint it. So I have my photograph, I have my sketch, and I have done a value map as I always do, and also have taken some time to actually do a value, sort of a black and white sketch of the scene that we'll be painting and put a grid on it, so I was able to translate it into this larger paper format, which this is always good to do, by the way. Even if you don't want to do it the one this big, you should at least do a thumbnail that's maybe 2-inch square or something like that, so that you can get an idea of the values. And it helps you, as well as the value map that I create, which you've seen before if you've watched me. If you haven't watched me before, and if you're coming to me from one of the other channels, I'm glad to see you here, and I hope I can give you some few tips about watercolor, and maybe I'll get you interested in my channel as well. So that's the reason for the collaboration, and that's what we're doing, working together on this. So with that being said, I think I'm going to zoom my camera in and get going. I want to tell you first about the paper. I'm painting today on Fabriano Artistico 300-pound cold press watercolor paper, and size, this is a large size. It's 22 by 30. It's probably the largest I've done on video anyway, and so I'm going to test that out and see how that works today. And secondly, I'll go through the brushes. We have a set of brushes from Sterling Edwards, as you've probably seen me talk about before. I have these 3 bristle brushes that are really short-haired bristle brushes, but they're very nice for making soft edges and blending and putting a lot of water on the paper. They hold a lot of paint. I may not use all of those, but I have those available. I have a couple flats. I have a 1-inch flat, a half-inch flat. I have 3 rounds here from Sterling Edwards Design. These are number 12, number 8, number 4. And then I added a couple little rigger brushes that I may or may not use from American Painter, size 4 and size 1. The paints, let's go around the palette very quickly and I'll tell you what they are. Again, this is the same palette I've been using for a long time now for my watercolors, and these are My Mary Blue very transparent watercolor paints. And I have here neutral tint. I have cyan, primary blue, cyan, ultramarine blue, ultramarine violet, crimson lake, garnet lake, cadmium red, burnt sienna, raw sienna, yellow ochre, cupric green, very similar to a viridian green, a golden lake, limon yellow, it's yellow with a little green in it, and I have primary yellow, which is more of a, has a little bit of orange in it actually. Burnt umber on the inside row. I have a sap green, I have a Auvergne orange, primary red magenta, and a still to grain brown. I may not use all of those as well. I may not, same with the brushes, I may not use all of the brushes, but at least that's what I have to work with, and that's what I'll be starting with. And so let's get going on this. And I'm going to start by wetting the top of the paper, just taking clear water here and getting some in my palette to get it give it some water. And I'm going to wet the sky. I'm using this medium, it's about a 1.5 inch bristle brush. You can hear how rough it sounds on the paper when I put this water on. And but it's good to soak it in. This 300-pound paper really holds a lot of water, and it won't dry out very quickly. So I may have to use the hair dryer here more than once to get this paper nice and dry after I get some of these nice soft edges on, get the sky in, and maybe some of the background trees. So that's probably all I want to do there. I'm going to put a little more water on, just make sure it's nice and soft. Don't have any paper towel yet. Let's get going with that. Oh my, I forgot to turn my microphone on. Sorry about that, folks. I'm having audio problems here. I hope my microphone is now working well or better. And I hope you've heard everything so far. This should be a lot better sound now that I have my lavalier mic turned on. So many things to remember. I've got about 3 or 4 cameras. I got 4 lights and microphones and paints and paintbrushes, and oh, it's just awful. But I love it. So it's a lot of left brain work while I'm trying to do right brain work up here on the painting board here. All right, we'll let that set for just a second. I'm going to pick up some of this ultra blue, use the same brush, and start getting some ultramarine blue in here. Touch of, whoops, I touched a little bit of the crimson lake over there to get a little bit of a purplish color. Even before that, I'm going to go back and get my brush. Many times I noticed in paintings in the English countryside, there's sort of this light, I don't know, it's just sort of a raw sienna, and it's just sort of it appears in some of these paintings, some of these scenes to help soften it up. It adds a little bit of, when you put the blue sky over it, it adds a little bit of sort of a greenish color to it, maybe a little bit. I'm putting a little bit on the bridge here, just sort of adding this color, a little bit of this tone of this raw sienna in and around this bridge. This is kind of wet on dry, but I just wanted to put a little bit of tone on here to sort of make an undertone of this nice soft color. You see how it's just diffusing and spreading all over the place. Okay, so much for the raw sienna. All right, let's get back to this blue. We'll pick up some of this ultra blue here, and we'll start over here on the left side, and this is going to be probably a little bit darker than the right side. Leave some room for clouds. Pick up a little of this alizarin. I call it alizarin crimson. It's not really alizarin crimson. It's the primary blue color called Crimson Lake, which is a very transparent color. I don't think it's quite as much of a fugitive color as alizarin crimson is. Some of you may know that alizarin crimson doesn't have a very long shelf life. It sort of fades out after a while. I know I don't suppose people are going to be keeping my paintings for 100 years, but you still don't want to put too many colors on that are fade out or are affected by light, and alizarin crimson is one that is affected by light. Put some coloring up here, let this diffuse. Just trying to get a nice little light, soft background here. Water and this brush really make a nice soft edge. One thing about skies and watercolor, you don't want to mess around with them too much. Keep going back, and going back, and you'll just ruin it. Watercolor is a little bit of a little bit tougher medium than, say, oils maybe, and acrylics, because you don't have as much ability to correct and modify and change watercolors. Once it's on, you tend to want to leave it on and not go back and mess around with it too much. At least that's what I've learned in my studies. A little bit more in here just to darken it up a little bit. I am painting vertically on this paper, folks, so I do get runs every once in a while, but I try to work around them and use that as part of the beauty of the painting, unless they're too obvious and glaring, and then I don't like it. But just a few clouds up here, a few definitions underneath, a few shadows. Have to have something in this paper. I have a big section up here on the right that's just wide open paper, and I don't want to leave it with not much going on up there. This brush just soften things out and give me some nice. Okay, I think that's going to do me. Got some looks of clouds, got a little bit of the sun shining through there, a little bit of that coloring. That's about all I want to do for the sky right there. Come over here and start wetting down some of the tree coloring back, the tree areas back here in the back, down to the top of this bridge. I didn't wet this the first time, but I'm putting some water in there now to sort of get it a little bit soft. Down to the water. We have water here. Big bridge. It goes almost the whole width of the paper. And I'm going to wet that down now. It should stop right at the top of that bridge. Stop, step back, take a look, see what we think. Okay, I got some nice little coloring in there. Over here on the left, I'm going to probably change a little bit of the colors in this to make a few things stand out. Some trees over here on the left, I want to make those stand out a little more than maybe they do. I'm still using this 1.5 inch brush, folks. A little more of this blue in here, and I'm going to pick up some a little bit of yellow and a little bit of green in there. Add just a touch of red to tone it down just a little, so it's not bright green. Keep the blue to keep it sort of in the distance. See what this looks like here. What are we doing? Okay, so I'll just take this and take my brush and just sort of put in some very light a lot of trees back there, sort of grayish color. Make some grays over here. Trying to create depth. The The more you can put in these light, fuzzy things in the distance, the more depth you'll create. And as they come forward, we'll make them more distinct and a little bit brighter colors. Change the color, change the... It's a big old brush. It's just got some really interesting effects that you can get out of it. Something like that. A bit more blue. Let's go over to the other green here on the other side a little bit. I don't like to have the same colors on both sides of my painting. If I can help it, I'll try to pick up a few different color of green over here on the right. Some very... These might be a little bit closer even. I'm painting around some trees back here. I'm going to have quite a few trees and bushes. Just touching in some of this coloring. Goes way down over here like this. Pick up some blue. See, I put that blue on. It's really pretty strong. So by using these bristles, I can come back and just really lay down a lot of different colors in there and sort of diffuse the ones that are there. You end up getting some very nice looking trees. Over here, we're going to put in a few. That's too dark. Lighten it up. Pull some water into it. Flick up. A little brown in here. This is getting a little bit too blue and too green. I want to throw some coloring in there. Okay. So these are a little bit closer in, you can see. In here maybe, let's pick up a few more colors. Over here we got a lot of stuff going on. I don't like to have a lot of attention over here on the left side. This is sort of, I really put a big dark blue in there, but that's okay, we'll fix that. See me make mistakes, you'll learn how to fix them. Assuming I can fix them. Usually I can figure out something to fix a mistake in watercolor if you can get it while it's got the right amount of wetness and the right amount of water in it. You can fix them, mix it up, get yourself some other colors here, pull up like this. I'm just painting right along the top of this bridge now. And over here, like that. So I'm getting some nice, interesting colors in there. I'm going to come back and pop in a few more brights in here, like that. So I have this color sort of carrying through, so it's not just all on one side of the painting. I don't want the left side to look identical to the right side, but I don't want the colors to be left out either. Let's see down here. This is all bristle brush work on a watercolor painting. I'm not using any, what would be a typical watercolor brush. I'm not using that yet. See a big old run starting. I didn't catch it, did I? We'll fix it. Water sort of runs down to the bottom of the, wherever the paper's dry, which is right here. I'm just going to use my paper towel and sort of soak that up a little bit through there. Over here maybe. Okay, let's see if I can put any more darks. I've left a some areas here that have a bunch of trees in here. So I left room to paint one right in there. So I left room for it. You can see. Okay. Mixing it up, picking a few darks here and there. This is all pretty much mid-tone so far. I haven't put in my darkest darks yet. The darkest darks are going to be under these bridges here and the little curved areas that go under the bridge. But I just want to get this feeling of a dense woods back here. A lot of trees, a lot of stuff going on. It's starting to dry out when I can take my brush and sort of touch it like this, and I end up leaving a nice little semi-hard edge at the top. You see I'm making another layer, but it's also giving depth in the painting. More depth than was actually in the photograph probably, which is one of the things we like to try to do as we want you to feel like you're actually looking into a three-dimensional scene here and are seeing trees off in the distance. I'm going to let this dry and probably come back over it with some more dry brush later, but it's not too bad. Okay, still got another run. Boy, that water likes to run on that side over there, doesn't it? As soon as I take my eye off of it, it runs. Okay, I'll probably be painting over that to the point where you probably won't even see that, but nevertheless. All right. Now down, let's see here. I'm going to try to, I think I'm going to change brushes, get off of my 1.5 inch bristle. Go down to a smaller brush, about a 1 inch. This is a 1 inch nylon brush, so it's got really nice sharp edges, very sharp. It's good for making architectural drawings or paintings where you have a lot of hard edges, a lot of specific looking edges that you want people to know what they are. Just gonna see what happens here if I put a little bit of color in here. Put a little blue in there, it'll gray it down. Burnt sienna and blue make a gray. And depending on how much of each color you put in, determines the amount of gray you get. So I'm just sort of trying to lay in part of this bridge here. Different colors, mixing up the grays and the painting around the bridge with a square brush is fun. Okay, let's get over here somewhere and see if we can. Probably a round brush would be a little better for this, but sometimes I get started with these flat brushes and I like to just keep going. And charge in a few other colors here, a little more of that blue in there toward the bottom. There's a little bit of green shrubberies in there I'm going to try to paint if I can. There's a thing here in the middle, sort of, these kind of hold up. These are extensions that sort of stick out, and I'm trying to paint around those. I'm going to come back and make this little architectural detail on the front of this bridge that I want to try to highlight if I can. There's a little opening up here, more paint. Okay. All right, there's the start of that bridge. Let's see here, okay. Pick up a little bit there. There, this is water down to here, then there's some logs and rocks in the foreground. So let's see what we can do with that in a minute here. Okay, I'm going to just go back and touch in some other things that give us some more details here around this top of this bridge. We have these, they always have some sort of block structure around the openings that try to paint in. I'm just trying to get a base color into there right now. All right. That's wet. The sky is getting pretty dry. Got enough places to paint here. I don't have to get too worried about drying it with a hairdryer right now. Let's see here what kind of color I can create to mimic this water here. There's a down here about below here, it sort of starts getting that color. One of the nice things to use these bristle brushes for is to take these hard edges that you create. When I'm doing this, I'm getting hard edges across here. You can take the small bristle brush and it's clean, just dip it in clear water, get it wet, get the bristles wet, and as they're wet, you can kind of come in here and take these edges and just sort of run the bristles over them, and it sort of takes a hard edge and makes a nice soft edge out of it, which I'm going to want because I want to blend this together. But this is sort of the color I want to have running through this part of the painting right here. It does start getting a little difference in color in some of these spots, but painting around a few rocks here and there. But this is sort of the color for this water. I just used Crimson Lake and Ultra Blue and put a little bit of burnt sienna in it, and I got a nice little dark purple out of it. Some rocks down here I'm going to paint around the top of. Rocks there, I'll probably just gloss over them. Take my brush and over here, put some clear water there and just sort of blend it down. The color actually changes over here a little bit. I could add some green in there maybe in a minute, but let's just leave it like that for now. The water actually has the reflectivity of what's above it is in this part of the water here, so I want to try to leave that and connect it. Excuse me. Big painting here, big painting, folks. Biggest I've done on YouTube in terms of size. Now, that's wet. This is dry. I think maybe, let me, if I want to put that really dark in yet or not. Let me put another, let's see, think about this. All right, well, let's do that. Let's get that darkest dark. I'm gonna get me a round brush now and see if I can create this really dark color underneath the bridge here that's reflecting into the water. And I'm going to use my blues and my reds, my browns, even a little of this neutral tint. I can get a really dark color, almost black. But I don't really want it to be totally black. I want to have a little bit of color in it, but we'll start with that and see what happens there. Like right in here, this whole area is really dark. Pick up some more dark blue. It's got brown and red and blue in it, and down here like this. And I really want that to go down into the water. So let's see how this is going to work. I'm going to take some clear water and just sort of brush it right in here and see if I can pull that down in there while I'm at it. See what happens here. Something like that. Okay, well, over here we've got more shadow, and that's got too much brown in it. Take some water, thin it down, pull it down into the shadow area here, or reflectivity area actually I should say. It's reflecting down into the water, something like this. Okay. Whoa, how about there? I don't want that in there. I want that in there. I'm making myself a mess here. It's all right. All right, I'm starting to get the look of that underneath that bridge. Sort of a brown going into another dark over here. Make sure I don't get my hand in it. This is very dark as well. I think you must hear the beeping going on. It's something going on next door here. They're actually building a swimming pool in the house next to me, and they've been working on this thing for months. And they just happen to be moving dirt today, I think, which is making all that beeping. May not be able to hear it, but I can hear it. I just don't know how much of it's carrying through on the microphones here. Let's see here. Okay, okay, let's leave that for a second and go on to the last one over here. It's a little bit even thinner yet. You notice the perspective is changing where you see this bridge. This helps you makes you think, and actually that's what it was. The bridge is coming toward you this way. So the perspective of each of these respective reflections and shadows under here are getting slightly narrower. If I'd have made them all the same size, it would have indicated you were standing in the middle of the river looking right into this thing. And that's not what was happening here, so I have to try to make that representative. Okay, now I think that perspective looks about right, that bridge is sort of going away from you at an angle, and that's kind of what we're trying to convey. Now where's some more darks? I really got this, some of these areas here could be not quite as light as they are. I might want to darken that up just a little and sort of make it run together here. Make it go from dark to light. Actually, I don't want this in there that light. This is the reflection of this I don't know, it's an extension. It's a support type extensions on the side of the bridge that sort of stick out, and they actually have a different color, and they reflect their color down into the water, so I have to be careful about that to not make it go too far. Just about forgot it. Okay, over here, let's make a little more of this dark into the water down here. Just blend it out. Soft brush, bristle brush. Okay. This is an interesting challenge. I've never painted this type of bridge before, and certainly not one this big before, so you're seeing me struggle with it, folks, which I think some of you like to see. From your comments, I think you like to see me struggle a little bit, which I do, but hopefully I can figure out a way to pull it out and make something decent out of it. Here we've got a little bit of a top on this bridge, so to make it look like there's something going on there that's maybe got a little white top on it, but that's just to highlight the top of the bridge. And then some of these we'll just kind of pull down and let them blur into the so that is a gray I created with that's really just neutral tint, pure neutral tint. Okay, we'll get the top of this bridge laid in and let it set and dry for a while. A few soft edges here and there, a few hard edges. It gives you an interesting texture across the top of that bridge. This is a little different than the photograph. Of course, the photograph is like very nice, tight masonry work and very straight and angular and not many bumps in it, even though it's a pretty old bridge, I'm sure. Okay, put something over that. All right. Yeah, we're getting the look of a bridge. This one area I left out, this big old white triangular thing here. Let's fill him in a little bit more. So I'm using a mixture of colors. I've got this raw sienna, and I've got some of my bluish purple in here, and it's sort of mixing them together, and it gives you this sort of a nice little, very interesting look for the part of the bridge that sort of sticks out here into the water. These colors all lighten up about 20 to 30%. If you've noticed how much lighter some of these are than they were when I put them on there to start with. That's a common feature of watercolor. It's also a problem for a lot of people, because if you're used to painting and getting the exact color as you can in, say, oils or acrylics, it's much more challenging to get that color, the exact color in watercolors, because of the drying effect and the fact that these colors tend to lighten up 20 to 30%. All right, I think I'm going to try Some of this goes down into the water too. Have this interesting set of colors. So I have hard edges in there that I really don't want, but see if I can get them out here in a minute. The hard edges in that water. That yellow, primary yellow is a really bright color. Okay, let's just kind of put these in here and see if we can get our this brush and see if we can sort of pull them together here a little more. Hard edge right there, I didn't soften up enough. This Fabriano paper is pretty decent for handling these, changing hard edges to soft edges by just taking a bristle brush like this and just sort of coming back over it and just pulling down. It's these vertical brush strokes that tell you this is water. I mean, the bridge kind of tells you the same thing, but it's can't have too many hard edges in it or it looks glued on. That's what I'm worried about right now. Okay, been going maybe an hour here, I don't know. Yeah, this is loosening that up a little bit, making it less so it just sort of helps diffuse it, making it look like it's a lot softer. Let that set for a little bit, then come back and maybe touch it again. Here we got some more over there that I didn't fill in. Raw sienna. Pick up blues and purples and stick in there. just paint it over there. Okay. Well, looks like we're getting something that looks a little bit like the photograph. All right, now I think I'm going to stop and clean my palette and dry this painting with the hairdryer. And get ready to start again. You got too many colors mixed in the palette. You gotta have to start over periodically and clean it out. All right, got that. I'm gonna, as I turn this hairdryer on, I'm gonna turn my microphone off, and hopefully I will remember to turn my microphone back on. I've had so many audio problems lately, I'm not very happy. Okay, I should be back. And I keep losing my sound cover off my microphone. I'm trying to buy a new microphone, folks. All right, now I want to go back and start. This is still a little bit wet. You can usually tell if you use the back of your hand if it feels room temperature or warm to your hand. It's pretty dry. If it feels cool, it's probably still wet. But use the back of your hand instead of the front of your hand. You have more oil here, and you would put more oil on the painting if you use your fingertips. All right, let's see if we can go back and start restating now. We got pretty much a good underpainting. Most got our darkest darks in, a lot of midtones. And now we're going to start restating some details here in the background or middle ground, and see if we can make it look a little more realistic now. Picking up a little bit, I'm using a round number 12 brush. Yeah, number 12. Picking up a little bit of this burnt sienna, and I'm going to throw a little bit of yellow in over here so I can end up with sort of a greenish blue, maybe a little toward an olive color. So I've got kind of greens. I got some this burnt sienna here with a little bit of blue in it to gray it down. And as I take this brush, now I'm going to sort of come in here and start putting in a tree. So it runs up like this and like this. Put some branches on it and bring it back down, and this tree wasn't that prominent in this photograph, but I sort of want to add something to the center of this to give me a couple of nice things to look at here in the background. Another tree like right in here. There was a ton of trees in here actually. But I'm not going to paint them all. Part of learning to paint from photographs is that you have to learn what to put in and what to leave out, and when to do that. If you put in everything you see in a photograph, you'll drive the viewer crazy. And so I try to simplify, minimize, and still get the same feeling that the photograph represents. Put a little darker in there, pick up some too dark, lighten it up, pick a little. I usually always have paper towel in my left hand so I can blot my brush. Okay, this looks a little hokey here. Pull these out and we'll put in some finer branches there. A few more trees back here, just some things to start looking like we've got things going on back there. And now I got this round brush. I'm going to show this sort of with a, you can take, as long as that paper is nice and dry, you can take the side of this brush and just sort of scrape in your tree tops. It's the side of the brush. So this is kind of the top of the tree that you might see. If you get too much water in your brush, it will pull it all back together and just fill it in, and you don't want that. So you have to take some of the water out of your brush. And a great way to do that is to get the paint in the brush, and then you hold the brush on your paper towel and you just soak a lot of the water out of it that way. And it leaves you with this nice dry brush effect. Keep going back and getting some more. Don't have to paint 1,000 limbs in here when you do this kind of stuff. You just kind of put a few base limbs in there and then let the dry brush tell the viewer what's going on. Let them use their imagination. If you let people use their imagination, they'll look at your painting longer. When it's in a gallery next to somebody else, you want them to look at your painting. So it gives them something to imagine. Okay, now let's go back and see if we can pick up a few more colors of green. We'll start putting in a few more bushes and things in here that are part of this other landscape here. Closer in maybe. A lot of bushes, a lot of trees, a lot of stuff going on here. Change the color, try to not use the same color all the time. If you think about it, I have to keep reminding myself. Change the color. Oops, see, that was too wet, you see. So dry the brush out a little bit, come back and put in a few few more interesting things here. I'm going to show you another trick here in a minute on how to get some very interesting shapes in the background by just using a flat brush. I'll be painting these trees, and so I'm kind of helping this sort of form sort of a focal point here, hopefully. But I don't want to overdo it either. So let's see, I want to pick up this, get my big old 1-inch bristle brush, put some blue and burnt sienna together, get a little bit of a gray, and I'm going to start sort of putting in some things back here that sort of look like they might be a little further away, but they have some interesting tree tops on them. These may look more like trees in Montana than they do in Wales. I don't know. I'll have to let Clive or one of my collaborators tell me about that. But since I paint more trees out in these areas than I do trees I would see in the UK. But we all have artistic licenses, so when you have an artistic license, you can do all kind of stuff. Okay, I'm just sort of getting a lot of stuff going on here now. That's put in some more trees and things over here that can give me some background behind this. Pick up different colors and so there's just a whole lot of shrubbery and bushes and stuff over here above the road, I guess, that goes, this bridge comes across and hits a road over here. And I don't want it to be overly detailed. It's a lot less detailed than that. So your eye should not look here, it should look over here. So the idea is the more detailed or the more color contrast you have, the more your eye will go to it. So when you look at this, your eye kind of goes here, looks around that way. So I'm trying to get you to focus in there. That's the whole idea of generating eye movement inside a painting. But if you painted a great big bold colors over here on the edges, the eye will go right here, and you don't want that. So you've probably heard me talk about that before if you've been following me. Let's see, I'm going to try a few things here with this my flat brush, my half-inch flat, yeah. Put a few more darks in there and some spots. Show you a couple tricks on how to create trees with the brush in what's called negative painting. Typically do this in watercolors, but not other mediums. I mean, you can do negative painting in other mediums, but it's not done nearly as much as it is in watercolor. But I'm just sort of defining for you a tree here. A little white branch or white strokes that I didn't paint. It's the paper underneath. So you'll see that looks like it might be a tree there. Sort of finish this off here with some other stuff and come over this way, and we'll start putting in maybe another tree over here that's got a little bit wider maybe, and we'll leave some room for branches there. So the tree wasn't there, but you're seeing a tree. Seeing the trunk of a tree anyway, and I didn't have to paint it in for you. It's kind of a neat trick. Helps, and use the old brush here to sort of soften some edges and sort of blend this out into nothingness. So that's pretty bright. I may have to tone that down just a little. But I wanted to show you that point where you can actually take a little flat brush and just by painting around areas on your paper, you can make yourself a nice looking little tree back here. And don't go crazy, but you can certainly experiment with that. And as I put these in, I'm going to get my bristle brush and just sort of loosen some edges, soften some edges. All right, step back and look at that. Okay. So the rest of it, there's a lot of brush and shrubbery or trees. It's really a dense, lot of woods back there. And so I think I'm going to come back with my round brush here again and just sort of fill in. There's a lot of bright color in there. See if I can sort of tone that down just a little with some rough edged work. So I'm just painting in the woods for you back there. That put in a few more things here, maybe, and help pull your eye more toward the center. Darken this down just a little. Take our wet brush and sort of soften the tops. That's pretty strong over there on the left. I'm going to just tone that down just a little. Okay. So there's a couple of tricks in here. You see how to make negative paint some trees that weren't there. I didn't paint them positively. I painted around them. Dry brush here with a round brush, just painting with the side of the brush. All nice ideas that you need to learn how to do if you're going to paint watercolors, because you have to learn how to control the brush, the watercolor, and the amount of water in the brush. And if you can do that, you'll get some very beautiful looking paintings. Okay, so much for that. I could do some more over here. I actually got the same kind of thing going on over here with maybe some different colors. Pick up a little bit of my other yellow, my limon yellow, which is a brighter green, greenish yellow, I should say. It makes a brighter green. Similar things. We had too much water. Take the water out. A few trees over here that look like this. I'm just trying to make this look a little more three-dimensional, folks. It was very flat, very one note. Put that color over here a little bit. Okay, so now you see that color sort of coming through in both sides of the painting. Okay, might have a few trunks in here of some trees. Pick up some of this brown. Throw some of that in, pick up a little bit of the green again, the light yellow, lemon yellow, a little bit of ultra blue. Just sort of throw in some nice greenery around these trees. Between them, over them, pick up some more of the reddish green. Okay. Let's put a few more trunks over here. See, I'm just making little vertical lines that look like tree trunks sitting in there, and then I'm coming in and using a combination of my dry brush, big dry brush here, and painting another whole row of trees in there. Come over here, we'll start putting in something like that. You can do this however you want, folks. I'm just sort of showing you my interpretation, my rendering of this interesting photo that we've passed around here among us. And if you look at some of the other artists' work in a different medium, oil painting or acrylics, you'll see a whole different way to paint this painting in a whole different medium. So be sure to visit their YouTube channel and check it out. Tell me what you think. A few darks. I'm trying to get 3 values. Get a light, medium, and dark in here. If you can get some darks, it'll help improve the 3-dimensionality. I got too much detail over here, so I'm going to take this brush and just sort of go back in and soften it with just sort of scrub some together. So your eye doesn't look over there at too much detail. All right. Step back. All right, I think I'm going to call that background, the middle ground done. All right, we do have some more grassy areas here on the left side. Pick up my round brush here and start popping in some stuff here along the bank. This is the bank. Got some red in there, got some green in there, yellow in there. So let's just pop it in here. The bridge comes over to about here. So we want to sort of make our greenery run up to that area. Darks, change it from light to dark, mid value, light to dark. Tried to find this edge of the bridge so that it really stands out. You know there's something going on there. This is all going to the water down here. We actually have another set of greenery here that's in this area right here. It actually growing up on the bridge in this corner. So we'll just throw a few things in there like that. Maybe put in a few yellow highlights in there. Put it up there and run it up. Okay, something like that. All right. Now, time to go back and try to finish up on this bridge, hopefully. Another pass on the bridge. Before I do that, I think I want to see if I can pull a little bit of this color down into the water right here. There we go. Probably going to dry lighter, but these bristle brushes pick up paint and they just sort of put globs on there. If you're not careful, you have to work it out of your brush. I touched it into the paint and picked it right up immediately. Put it on there. Okay. So much for that. Let's feeder that out. All right. All right, on this bridge, let's see if we can sort of, let me get some of this green out of my palette because I don't really need a lot of green in that bridge. I may need a little bit, but there were some spots that were there. Oh, there was some areas I forgot about, my areas in the background. Well, I got this, I might as well do this now. Get some greens. We got some areas back here that you can see through the tunnel area of this bridge, and there's greenery growing back there that sort of matches what's up above it. So let's see if we can get something that's close to that. This one doesn't have any, but here we have stuff going on back here. Get a brighter yellow, pick up some yellow and pop in there. Okay, that's what's going on back there. So it's coming down to the water, so that's water coming here. Got the same thing going on over here. See if I can pop a little brighter color in there, a brighter green maybe, I don't know. In here, we got a bunch of stuff going on. Brighter, brighter, brighter. That just sort of pop out at you. And something similar going on over here. Pick up some reds. Browns at the water's edge, like that. And then we have this idea that we're bringing it down into the water. It's got to get closer to the, whoops, wrong color. Let's get some of this raw sienna. It's going to reflect down here like this. So it helps complete that illusion. Here. So I'm just kind of pulling it down, trying to give it that look of water that you might see coming through there. Same thing over here on the other side. Water, pick it up. couple of more yellow, or blue rather. Start throwing in some, probably too much blue, too dark, but let's see if we can lighten it up a little bit. Pull out some other colors, pull it down. Getting too much paint on my brush. I picked up raw sienna. Let's just pull it down here. This is sort of the water's edge back there. Might be a little bit too dark. Let's see if we can. This bristle brush does wonders. Okay. All right. Got something to see through when you look at that bridge. And all right, now I think I'm ready to work on the bridge. See if I've got any other areas that need to be reflected. I think I'm going to bring down a little more reflection here, of try to match this color a little bit more, even though it's probably too dark right there. Same over here on this other one. Let's pull down some color from the bridge. I guess it should be probably a little grayer, maybe, since that's the color I'm reflecting, but let's just see what happens here. Just pull it down, soften it up. Over here, just a few more things. Use the old bristle brush, soften it up. All right. So, once I've put that much color on the reflection, I need to sort of come back and put that much color on the bridge here itself. Pick up some other colors. That. Okay. This next one's got a bit of similar type thing in here. Okay, pull a couple of those down into the water. Give a little distinction there. All right. I think I need more green reflection here. Okay, brush. All right, have another Okay, let's go pick up some blues and okay, and then we want to pull that down. Didn't need that green in there, but what the heck. Okay. All right, I think I'm getting, there's a bunch of bricks in this, along this thing here, which I'm not going to paint. Maybe one of my oil painters or acrylic painter buddies will take that on, but I'm going to just sort of gray it down, give myself a little bit of a shadow there to make it look like it is a shadowed edge, or at least another edge. More water, folks. It's probably a better way to paint this than I'm doing it, but right now this is the best I can think of. Put a few things in there, a couple over here. Try a few here with, I could spend a day and a half just putting in all the bricks that go along here. It's a stair step type of thing, and I'm not that crazy about doing that kind of thing, that much detail. I do paint more impressionistically than some realistic painters. I try not to be too much of a slave to the photograph, although as you can see I've stuck pretty close to the photograph here. But when you start painting in most mediums, watercolor particularly, when you start, things start happening on the paper, you have to react to what's happening on the paper. You can't go back and slavishly adhere to what you might see in the photograph. Okay, so I'm just putting in a few of those little indicators that there's something around these windows here and some extra bricks and blocks and stuff. So I give you, I'm not painting every brick and block, but I am sort of giving you enough information that you can fill in the gaps with your imagination. So keep your imaginations working, folks. Let's see, over here, let's put in a few more. But just enough of these little things to show you there's a bit of a structure of some sort around this thing, holding it all together. Over here we've got some, I think there's a, this is actually an angle, it does come out here, but we'll just put in some few bricks, enough to make you think this is really a brick wall over here, and stuff dries out so light I have to be careful if I don't make it too light. You won't even see it. A little too dark there maybe. I offset my, as soon as I think about it, all right, let's see, put in a few, cover up some of these whites over here. You don't want to have a lot of splotchy whites sitting around. Oh, too much. Throw in a few. That color echo, I want to echo this color up here a little bit. I should echo the color over on the right side as well. I'm just using a little bit of a lavender here, diluted down. Over here. So that'll work. Okay, I've got another little type of structure here. I'm not sure if I think it's, these are openings. There's like holes in this bridge where you can actually see the other side back there. Both of these are that way. So I'm just going to hit it like that. Leave it to one's imagination as to what that is. Make a few little marks around it to identify it. Okay. So where do you look when you look at that painting? You tend to look right in here, I think, which is not too bad. I'm going to put a little bit darker in here. This is not quite dark enough to separate the values. There. Okay. And then I'm going to come back and put just a little more stuff in here to make it look like there's some bricks and things in this area. Something like that. Put a few over here maybe. Something like that. Not too bright. All right, we are closing in on this thing. Put just a little bit of this color on top of this bridge so it's not stark white everywhere. I want some white going along there, but I don't want a white snake going along there, which is what I was seeing. All right, how are we going to finish this job off? I think I'm done with the greens now, maybe, finally. So let's get those out of here. A lot of going on here. Okay, there we go. Paper towel. All right, this foreground is going to be probably darker than it is right now. I'm going to want to get myself some, I'll use this big brush and get some water here to make myself a nice lavender color based on what I had before, which had a little bit of ultra, crimson lake, and neutral tint. And see if I can see what color that is. It may be a little too dark, but let's just put in some things here. Let's see if we can paint in some things that look like the river here. I think. I don't know if I have a card or not. May use this. Okay. One of the tricks that a lot of artists will do when they're trying to paint rocks, it's always a good, particularly with watercolor, is to sort of get the base color over here like this. Just sort of lay it in. I've got a log or two there I want to put in. I can put those in afterwards, but let's get this kind of wet. Put this in over these areas where they're going to be rocks. I painted around a rock here, and then I thought better of it. I think I'll try to use the card technique. I haven't shown you that. That'll be another little technique I'll show you today. Let's just get this in. Gray down a little bit. Try to make this blend together if we can. So I'm just putting a wash over this whole foreground here of water. Doesn't have a ton of blue in it. It's sort of being changed by the reflections around it. But I have this in. See these vertical strokes, brush strokes, continue to tell you that's flowing. It's water, 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 soft, soft, soft. Okay, now, may not be dark enough in some of these areas where I want to have rocks, but let's see if we can carve out some rocks out of these areas. If we let it set just the right amount of time, we'll be able to you can take a credit card, or I have a little template here that I use for certain kind of sketches. Can't find my credit card for whatever reason right now, but take an old plastic card that you don't use anymore, and use that to see if we can carve out some rocks here in this this area here. We had one that was right here, like that. If you get it at the right time, that's a little bit too wet, but here, 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 when you see that happen, it's telling you that there's a certain amount of wetness that's letting you scrape out those rocks. If it's too dry, nothing will happen. If it's too wet, it goes back together like you see down here. It just filled back in. So what you're really doing with a card or something like this is you're scraping out the paint over the top. And so it's a really neat, fast way to make a lot of rocks if you've got a bunch of them in a stream like this that you want to highlight. Instead of trying to paint them with light highlights and darks and shadows and all that sort of stuff, you can just sort of use a tool like this and just put them everywhere. See if I can do it down here now. Maybe I can get a few more to scrape out down here. There were a couple of big ones laying on the ground down here. Okay, so I have, in 3 minutes, I have a bunch of rocks in my river. Some people might say this is cheating, but it's one way to work with watercolor that doesn't look overworked. It looks light and spontaneous. Do too much of it and you'll drive people crazy, but I wanted to show you that trick. I do have a log or two that I can put in here. I think that's still too wet, probably. There's a couple of logs laying out there in that water, and I think I'm gonna just get the dryer and blow dry it real quickly here. Okay, I should be back on. See if I can get a sort of a grayish brown looking log here to lay in the middle of this water. That may be too big of a brush, I don't know, but we do have a couple of logs laying out here, so I'll see if I can find them in my sketch. That might be one. There's another one laying over here somewhere. So they might have some things on them, like some, I don't think these were on the ones in the photograph, but if there's an old log laying out here, it's like, well, I have some kind of, who knows what, sticking on it. Should also have, should be soft on one edge, which will be the bottom in my case here. I'm going to make this, it's going to blend into the water so it looks like it's sitting in the water instead of glued onto the water. So just sort of do that, even make a little bit of a reflection out of it there. Pull it down, smooth it off, there. Now that looks like it's down in the water, which is what I was trying to do. Same I want to do here with this. I want to put a, just tickle the bottom edge to loosen. The paint's still wet, but I can just run a little loose water over it. If I had my bristle brush, it would even loosen more. But by just softening that edge, it helps me tell that story that I've got a couple of old logs laying out there. Then I don't know, probably I could put in I could come in and put a few shadows under some of these rocks to kind of help highlight them a little bit more than they are, maybe. I don't know. It's maybe too dark. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Because most of them are casting some sort of a shadow into the water, so let's put a few things under there if we can. It's probably too much. Take the brush and sort of soften it. Over here maybe the same. There was 2 or 3 little rocks that were like here right close to this thing. Might even part of that log sticking out. I couldn't tell if they were rocks or logs, but just a little bit of paint in there, then take this brush, just come back, and it's either a part of the log or another log or a rock. Who knows? Only Clive may know. He took the photograph. So I'm just trying to make sure these are connected to the water line in the water with that, and by just using a soft brush I can sort of indicate that very easily. Okay. Step back, take another look. It's a lot lighter. It's not nearly as dark as the original photo. Colors are different. Trees are different. The sky is different. The only other thing I might do, which watercolorists often resort to in a painting like this, where you want it to be very sort of loose and there's a lot of debris, get a lot of water on your brush, take this sort of this purplish color and with a little gray in it or whatever, and we'll just sort of do a little splatter now. It's going to add a lot more texture to this foreground. Plenty of water. Okay, nice little tricks. Showing you all kind of tricks today. Stuff in that water. Could even have some stuff up on the bridge, even up in the areas up there. I'll flip up. Maybe some will hit up there. Don't have to do a lot of it, but certainly it loosens the whole painting up. It makes it look a lot more abstract. Put stuff in there that I would take forever trying to paint some of that stuff in. Okay, so as a final step, I always block print my name. Sort of my history with engineering and computer science and mathematics and stuff. I've always block printed since high school. So I can't get into these big squirrely signatures. I have to put in my name like this. All right. Okay, folks, I think that's going to do it for this painting and this video. I'll zoom in just a little bit and let you see a few details here. Hope you like this. Hope you give it a try. I don't have a good sketch of it right now on my website, but I will have. I'll put something out there very soon. And by the time you see this, hopefully I'll have the sketch out there. So with that being said, I'll say thank you for watching, and check the links below this video and look at my collaborators and take a look at their videos to see how they did this painting. And if you like their YouTube channel, subscribe to their channel. That's really what we're doing this, is to try to get our art before other people. And so we'll just use each of our subscriber bases and let you see this, and they will do the same with me. So till I see you again, this is Larry Hamilton saying so long for now. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.